Okay, everybody see that? Okay, so I'm going to talk to you guys today about service workers. And if you are not sure what a service worker is, don't worry. You're going to know everything you need to know to get your first one up and going by the time we're done with this talk. So briefly, I'm Carmen. I really love everything offline, and service workers is one of those things. So hit me up on Twitter or check out my blog. I write about offline stuff a lot. It is a really big thing to me. So real quick, what are service workers? Service workers are a technology that's been added to your browser. They are actually just recently available in Safari, which is super cool because Safari is like a pretty large portion of browser usage across the world. So previously they were really only available in Chrome or in Firefox, but we're getting into Safari, and then Edge is also going to be introducing them. So that's basically all your browsers at that point, except for Opera, which the last time I checked was like less than 1% worldwide. So you get support like really across all browsers. So I've said all that, but I still haven't really told you what are service workers. Service workers allow you to cache your HTML pages, your CSS pages, your JavaScript that is client side, your images, anything that exists on the client side within your browser. Service workers allow you to cache those assets. And if you are curious about like what service workers have sites installed for me, you can open up your browser. This is for Chrome, but Firefox is going to have something similar. And you're going to go into your DevTools, you're going to go under Applications, and you're going to go under Service Workers. It's going to be in that left menu. And you might be surprised how many people are using them. You'll probably find a whole lot. So I've already mentioned offline and how important that is, but I really want to express how many people live in an offline world, because if you are a developer, and I'm a developer, it might be strange to realize how many people are living in the world without connection. And there are a lot of people in the developing world who are living without connection. And there's also a lot of people just around the Oklahoma City metro living without connection. A lot of people outside of the Oklahoma City metro living without connection. You're far more likely, if you're living in a rural area, to not have internet connection than to have internet connection. And I read a study the other day that showed that the majority of people who are going to a library in this particular rural town, I'll tweet this out after this because I am at a loss for the exact town, but they said the majority of people who were going to the library were going to fill out job applications. So just think about that for me for just a second about you need a job and you're like, wait, I can't do that. I have to go to the library, and the library is only open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and maybe you already have a job. And so like you start thinking about it, you realize like, whoa, like it's actually really hard to look for work if you don't have an internet connection, because that's kind of the infrastructure that we've set up in the United States. So that was a really long way of telling you should use service workers. They provide extra consistency for your user. So somebody goes to your website and you're not using a service worker, they're going to see nothing. They're going to see a gray screen that's like, sorry, there's nothing here for you. Everybody's going to lose connection, and I'll get into that more in a moment. But also, service workers are just really cool, and I just think everybody should use them because they're so cool. So, like I said, everybody should use service workers because they are very cool. So we can talk about different states when you lose connection. So like, it's pretty common to think about, like, if you're an infrastructure person, you think about what happens when maybe your cloud provider loses, like, they go down, they have an outage. So briefly, there's like 3 main scenarios where you're going to lose connection. Maybe your user is the one who's losing connection. Their modem, their router goes out, and maybe they can't get another one right now, or, through whatever course of events, they are just stuck and they don't have internet access. Maybe the internet is down. And so when I say that, what I'm talking about is at the ISP level. So maybe like Cox is really common around Oklahoma City. Maybe they're having some kind of an outage. And that's very sad because, it's a bummer when you can't get online. or the website is down. So I already mentioned like your infrastructure, your cloud service provider, they're having some kind of an outage. So there's obviously a ton more scenarios where you could lose connection, but those are going to be like your main 3 points of failure. It's going to be your user, the ISP, which is like connecting you to your user, or it's going to be you, the content provider. So do service workers work server side? No, they don't. So what's happening is they are installing actually within your browser. So when I say your browser, you, the person who's looking at the content, your browser, it's installing there. So they're like, at this point, you're not connected to a server anymore. So there's no server side. So I'm sorry, Caitlin, who loves C#. So just kind of reiterating, the files, they get cached locally within Chrome or Firefox or Safari. And so you're not having any connection to an external server. So now that I have totally sold everyone on service workers, I'm going to show you how to make one. So when we register a service worker, this is what that code looks like. We have a navigator object that's available within your browser. So if you were to open up your console and type in navigator, it's going to give you all these different options. And a lot of them are very cool. Service worker is within that. So literally the function that you're going to use to register it is called register. This serviceworker.js file, that is where the service worker itself lives. So like if you're thinking about a website that you work on, you're like, okay, I have my index.html file and I have my index.js file, which interacts with the index.html file. Your service worker is a different thing. So we do want to wrap it in that if statement because it is not available in all browsers just yet. Safari is introducing it and Edge is introducing it. So it is on the horizon and I am super stoked, but we're not quite there yet. So for now, go ahead and wrap it in that if statement so that you don't cause problems for your user. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to install the service worker, which also is called onInstall. So it's very easy to remember. Service workers provide like multiple different events. OnInstall is one of them. This function is going to run. What it's doing is it is opening a cache. You can have different caches, and you can call it whatever you want, and I am super clever. If you can't tell, I called mine cache because I'm funny. Within this function, so if you're not familiar with promises, you may want to go ahead and read up on those or hit me up after this and I can help you out. But this is returning a promise. That's what that then block is. Within that, we've got another function where we're saying, okay, these are the files we want you to add. So far, pretty simple. Like I said, multiple caches. This is what's going to update your service worker if you, say, make some changes, change up your content, things of that nature. And then we're adding the files right here. Another event that is available is fetch. So there's global fetch. Service workers are able to tap into that for static assets. So that's our HTML files, our JS files, our images. It's able to hook into that basically. And we have here this caches.match, okay? So also, you'll know, this also returns a promise. So if you wanted to do error handling, you would do it within the promise. And you should do that. Don't use my example where it's not done. So what you need to know about this is that when we are caching our files, it's like a stack. So we've got old, new, 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 new. Newest is on top. So what that means is this event respond with is looking for the closest match it can find, which ideally is going to be the very top of your stack. So that's what's going to allow your user to be able to see the newest to them content that there is available. So now I can show you guys a quick demo. So if you're not familiar with running servers, don't worry about that just yet. That is not a huge deal right off the bat, but that is what's happening over on my terminal, the black part of the screen. This is literally just like a hello world and then a picture, and that's me, I'm sorry. So you can see that my server is not running right now. I'm going to go ahead and start it up. And that's strange. Where am I right now? Oh, I'm in development, that's why. Live demos are the best. Okay, now we're gonna get there. Okay, so now that I'm in the correct directory where you need to run the server, I can show you the demo. It's literally just like a single page, hello world and an image. Like, it is as simple as you can possibly get. And that's intentional because like I want you guys to understand that this is something that you can absolutely do. So let's just keep it simple. I'm gonna go ahead and stop my server. So what this is simulating is like, I am the content provider, I'm providing it on this server, and I am down. I don't know why, but I am Heroku, and I am down right now. So check this out. Can't be reached. But I'm gonna go ahead and refresh it, and there it is, even though the server's not running, and that's because of this service worker right here. And I don't know if I can make that bigger, but no, I also just stopped my server. But it says that's activated and is running. So if you're curious about your service workers, again, you can go into DevTools under Application and then Service Workers, and you can see what is running. And mine is running right now. So that is all I have to share with you about service workers, unless anybody has any questions. Okay, that's it. I think Aaron is up.